Merry Christmas, motherfuckers. It is Christmas. It's Monday, the 25th of December, 2017, episode 3 of Ordinary People. Today I've got Mark Heydrich, my brother. Haven't seen you for a while. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a good weekend. Got some food eaten, got some drinks down, got some presents opened, and we're all gonna part ways today, so we wanted to get a good cast in before we had to leave. Mark lives in Wichita, Kansas, and I live in Omaha, so we either meet here at Mom and Dad's in the middle, or it's a hell of a long ways one way for us to go visit each other. But we still manage to pull that off about once a year.
Yeah, a couple times a year.
Yeah, and we meet here at Mom and Dad's 3, 4, 5 times a year. It works out, major holidays, just weekend getaways, whatever. So, tell them a little bit about yourself. You've been around.
Yeah, so, right, let's see, so I'm Paul's brother. Out of high school, I joined the military instead of going to college. As a computer programmer in the United States Air Force. Stationed in Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, which is about 3 hours north of Los Angeles. Beautiful place. Absolutely great first assignment. After that, I did 4 years, joined the reserves as a jet engine mechanic because I wanted to work outside, do something a little different. Went to college for about a year. Wasn't a huge fan of the college thing, so I did about another year of temp work with the reserves, and then got back into doing computer work, this time in security, and we moved to, my wife and I moved to the East Coast in Maryland, where I worked for Air Force Office of Special Investigations, OSI, at the Department of Defense Cybercrime Lab in Linthicum, Maryland, doing computer forensics, malware analysis, reverse engineering, that kind of thing. Let's see, what else? I guess after I left the government, I worked for a bank. I work for a bank now, and I worked in healthcare for a bit, doing various information security things.
You were the assistant manager for the Mayo Clinic team, right?
I wasn't a manager, no. Just a...
principal lead?
Yeah, principal.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you were gone a lot. Had to fly to Minnesota?
Yeah, it was, well, because I work remote, so it was a requirement. It's been a requirement every job that I've had where I've worked remote is to travel. They had me travel quite a bit. So.
Cool. I remember, was it when you were in Baltimore when Sony got hacked? Like, all you guys are gamers, so you guys were hoping you got that job?
No, I was, when the hell did they get hacked?
That has been years ago.
Yeah, no, I didn't work in Baltimore anymore, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember when the hell that was.
2014, I want to say, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was private sector by then.
Funny thing about Baltimore, a couple of years ago when the Ravens and the Broncos were playing each other in the playoffs, and Baltimore ended up winning, Mark was eating dinner, and I think you texted me, and I was at a basketball tournament, and I was watching the game in the hallway, and you texted me, and you said, "Is there a football game going on or something?" I said, "Yeah, dude, Baltimore just made one of the biggest upsets in NFL playoff history," and you said, "Okay, because I think there's a riot going on right up the street from where I'm eating."
Yeah, a lot of people were really excited. Well, I saw like 3 or 4 cop cars go past, and I was like,
awesome.
I don't know what's going on, but and we'd gone to watch a play, and people like during intermission were excited about, oh, they won, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. Somebody won a thing, I guess. I don't really watch sports. So, but yeah, I went outside and people were like hooping and hollering and cheering in the streets. And
is there anything lit on fire?
Not near me, but people were very excited. So, and I had no idea why.
Yep. So I had to inform him. I was like, "That's got to be what's going on, man," because it was it's a hell of a game.
I think they won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl that year too.
There you go. See, I knew a sports fact. How about that?
That's right. Ray Lewis retired after that game too. Anyways,
that's cool.
Now, when you were in Vandenberg, was that south of San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
So you went south to drop people off at LAX, and you had to go north when you went to San Francisco to take pictures. You took pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge and all types of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to Los Angeles. Los Angeles was about 3.5 hours. I went there a handful of times. There was a car show every year at Knoxbury Farm for kit cars that we always went to. And yeah, we went to we flew in and out of the airport at LAX a few times. And then San Francisco, I only went there once. It was like a 6-hour drive. Yeah, we usually when we traveled, we went north to Big Sur, Monterey, that kind of area. Because there's a military base in Monterey, and we knew people who lived there. And yeah, it was a nice area. For
Cool,
sure.
man. Yeah, he texted me one night. He's like, "Hey man, it's like 2 a.m. We're traveling down Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles." I'm like, "You realize that's not a joke, right?"
Yeah, we had taken the wrong turn in Albuquerque, and no, we took the wrong exit off the 405. It wasn't Crenshaw. It was
Slauson?
man, I don't remember. It's whichever one is right next to
Inglewood
LAX.
Boulevard? Oh,
Inglewood,
okay.
that's the one.
Inglewood Boulevard.
Yeah, it's right next to LAX.
That's awesome.
So I was like, I remember the street name from the rap music my brother listened to as a kid.
Yeah, I was like, don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep
So that
going
was
till you
cool.
get to LAX.
Piece of history.
Man, that's funny. Was it also there at Vandenberg when one of your friends that you worked with you were going to take a walk or a hike or something at night, and he got you lost? You didn't know where he was going?
Yeah. We weren't on Vandenberg. We lived in an apartment outside of Vandenberg at that point, but they had found they called it like the car graveyard or something. They found like basically a bunch of abandoned cars from 50 years ago, just been left to rust,
Okay.
and they wanted to go take pictures of it. And so I was like, I want to see this place. And so we went out there at night. And little did I know that my friend was drunk off of his ass. And he led us around for like 3 hours. And he had no idea where he was, but he was just happy and gleeful and carrying us along. And eventually we realized that we had gone in circles like a couple of times, and we finally found our way back to the apartment.
That's crazy. You went through part of the automotive tech course at the local college there?
Yeah, there's the community college in Santa Maria did a 2-year degree, and I took 2 or 3 classes from them. My buddy had a '84 Corvette, absolute piece of shit. He bought it from some guy in Los Angeles, and the guy had painted it. I'll never forget this, purple with glitter. Painted a red Corvette purple with glitter, and then when my friend bought it, most of it had peeled off. It was a terrible paint job, and then the engine, it was V8, but only 6 cylinders fired.
Nice.
At one point, the dude had jumped a curb with it, so part of the floorboard was missing, which, it's fiberglass, so it was just chunks of shit just broken off from it. So that was his project car, and so we took these courses together. One of them was a mechanic class, the other one was a paint class. I'll die young of cancer from sanding off all the fiberglass.
Yeah.
And all the paint and shit, even with the respirators on. And it was cool. That was a good experience.
What was the car that you were working on, and you did something, you fried all the wiring or the fuse box or something, and you had to put it up for sale because you didn't know what was wrong with it, and when the guy came, he just replaced the fuses and started right up and drove off.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that.
You only got like $100.
It was an '85 Caprice Classic. Yeah. He did a little bit more to that, but yeah,
Right.
it was like replacing the radio, and we wired something wrong, and I think it popped a bunch of fuses. Yeah.
That's hilarious. And is that the car you put the exhaust system on that was always loud?
Nah, that was the Thunderbird.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a '95 V8 Thunderbird, a grocery getter for sure. And I replaced the exhaust with I think it was the Flowmasters, and we removed the resonator. So yeah, it was louder than shit. I mean, it's the same engine that goes in that went in the old Mustangs, just tuned down.
Okay.
And it was awesome. It was the best Thunderbird ever.
Yeah, because you had said something about there was that type of exhaust where it's just loud all the time, and then there's the other type where it's just loud while you're accelerating, and then when you cruise, it quiets down.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. I mean, I said Flowmasters, but it was like a cheap knockoff of like whatever the local exhaust shop had, and I mean, it was just loud all the time.
That's cool.
It was fantastic.
So, and jet engine mechanic, stuff also. You did that for the Air Force.
Yeah, as a reservist, so I was never any good at it. It's hard to be good at something that you only do once a month. But yeah, it was a good experience. And when I worked at Vandenberg, they don't have aircraft. They don't have an aircraft wing station there. They do space launch, and so we didn't have an air wing, and so I didn't really have any experience with being in the Air Force with actual aircraft. And so since I wanted to stay in the reserves, at least while I was in college, I decided to look into something on an airplane, and I was like, oh, I like working on car engines. Jet engines, not even remotely close to the same thing, but what the hell? They had openings, so yeah, I went for that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what do you do now? What's your typical work day like? Because you work from home still.
Yep. So I work in the financial vertical, and I work in intelligence now. So whereas before, what I did was on the operations side, like incident response and malware analysis and stuff like that. Now I work in intelligence, and so instead of doing the technical work, now I read reports that other people have written, about the technical work they did, and basically try to piece together a threat model of what kind of things actually threaten the financial vertical. What kind of threat actors, if they're nation state actors, like sponsored by a government, are they cybercrime actors motivated by money, financial gain? Are they hacktivists? And who's likely to go after that vertical? And then try to get as much technical information as possible about those actors, how they operate. It's called tactics, techniques, and procedures. It's basically how they work. If you think about your job, you have a process that you go through in your job that from day to day. You do the same thing the same way every day, for the most part, maybe with some variation. And that's how professional hackers often behave. Also, is that they have what they're comfortable with doing. They have their process that they follow. And so if you follow the same kind of group of people over time, you can see that they repeat the same process over and over, because if it works, why fix it?
Yeah.
And so the idea being that if you can figure out how they operate, then you can also figure out how to prevent that. And it's a cost thing. If you can make it more difficult for these actors, if you make them have to change up how they do things every time they try to attack you, then it becomes very cost prohibitive for them to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So that's the basic idea.
Kind of like in my line of work, we deal with credit card fraud. So it's individual cases, and we just work the accounts. I'm not in security, cybersecurity, or anything like that. But when we do pick up fraud trends, then we let our supervisor know so she can let the bank managers know. But you're trying to protect the entire bank from being taken over.
Yeah, well, it's protecting the network, computer systems and stuff like that. It's information security. So it encompasses the network devices, the web applications, your bank laptop, the servers, everything. Anything that might be of interest or of value to an attacker who tries to get into the environment.
Very cool. And you're still a big gamer.
Oh yeah. I definently. Yeah, shit. I would say that's my biggest hobby for sure. Current project, we're building a simulation, a cockpit basically, and it's for racing games. So it'll have the pedals, the wheel, the shifter, and then it'll also be modular, so I can put in a flight yoke and some other stuff like that.
Nice.
And then
are you gonna have a car door that you have to close?
Yeah.
Cool.
I haven't told Jessica that yet, but yeah, it's the idea. And a buddy of mine, we're looking at we're looking at car seats because I want it to be fairly realistic.
Sure.
So I designed it out. I actually took measurements of my own car. So I have a G35, Infiniti G35 Coupe. And so I took measurements of how far is the wheel away from the seat, how high is the seat, how far is the armrest from the seat, stuff like that. So I can try to kind of rebuild that because it's a comfortable, it's a comfortable car. You can sit in it for hours.
And that'll go in conjunction with your virtual reality headset.
It can, yeah. So for racing games that you can wear a VR headset, you can incorporate that.
Tell them what brand of VR goggles you have, because that's a pretty high-end.
Yeah, I have the Oculus Rift.
Okay, that was cool as heck, man.
Yeah.
We went up there and visited, down there, Omaha to Wichita.
Yeah.
Over the 4th of July weekend this year, and he's like, you gotta check this out. And all he did was set up the sample simulator, just the disc that comes with the goggles, so you can see what it does. And, the first one, it's just cartoonish. The second one, it's pretty intense, cartoonish. third one is like you're standing on the ledge of a high rise, and if you look down, I actually got vertigo, and it freaked me out a little, not just a little bit, but it's like, it's fake.
Yeah, it fooled your brain.
At the same time, your knees start to buckle, and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. And then you look up, and there's a big blimp like the Hindenburg, and there's an airplane flying across, and then the last one, you're in a dinosaur museum, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex comes around the corner and walks up to you and breathes on you and yells and then walks away, and it's just, it's fake, but at the same time, it's like, that's crazy. And then you put in the rally car game, and I'm racing on the side of a cliff, and it was crazy cool. Man. You're like in the car, you can look over here out the window and see down, and when the car's moving and bouncing. I didn't get motion sickness, but you said a lot of people had.
Oh man, yeah,
because it's so realistic.
So so the Tyrannosaurus ones you mentioned, I had one person that ran and cowered in the corner of the room. I had one person that tried to run out of the room, and I had to stop them because the goggles have a cable coming out from the.
You run into the wall.
Yeah, and so I had to prevent them, but they're trying to run away from it, and then. I never had anybody get sick, like actually throw up from the racing game, but pretty much everybody who used it could do it for about 5 minutes, and then they were like, I gotta be done with the VR stuff. Because it's, especially because it's a racing simulator, it's not an arcade game, you know, and it's rally, so you're swerving all over the road and everything, and, for people who, like, flip the car, which is basically everyone, that has an effect on you.
I didn't do that. I should have done that on purpose to see what that felt like.
It's also kind of cool. Like you can have like an out of body experience, because you're sitting in a chair, and you hit a button on the computer and it lines up your head with the race car driver's head, and you can look over and see the co-driver. But you can also you can stand up and get out of the car, but the car doesn't move. You can kind of look around and see the environment and the car and the textures and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What role playing game are you currently in the middle of?
Let's see, currently playing Star Wars The Old Republic, which is an MMO, and also Mass Effect Andromeda, which came out in February. I still haven't beaten it yet.
Okay.
That's a sci-fi one. So in a sci-fi geeky mode, Star Wars just came out last week, and so I've been all about the Star Wars stuff. I watched 4 of the movies the weekend before it came out, and then started playing the Star Wars video games in preparation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark and I have very different tastes in games. I like some of the RPGs, but, nothing beat Final Fantasy VII, so...
Still my favorite.
Yeah, it's still the best game ever. He got me Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I don't know which one it was, but...
The reboot. 2014 reboot.
And that's a really fun game, so I'll finish that one. But I really don't buy games anymore, because my favorite was always NCAA football. And they don't make those anymore because of the lawsuits. So I don't even own a PS4 because I wouldn't buy any games for it. But Mark has the PlayStation 4, so the joke last Christmas was, over the summer I had ordered MLB The Show for the PS3, and they sent me the PS4 disc and case. So I'm like, okay, do I go through the trouble of sending this back, all that? No, I just kept it, ordered the PlayStation 3 version, I play that one, gave the PlayStation 4 version to Mark as a gag gift last Christmas, and then when we went down there over the 4th of July, how big's your screen?
Did I have the projector yet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, it's a projector on a 100-inch screen.
So I played PlayStation 4 baseball on that, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you're still the only one who's ever played that game.
Yeah, probably always will be. Loaded up the San Francisco Giants, and I think, what I have, 15 strikeouts with Madison Bumgarner.
Dude, I don't know. Are you kidding me? I have no idea.
First time I ever played the game, but...
Yeah. Anyways. Most of the games that I play are the old ones. I started collecting Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy. I have about 200 or so games. The systems, I have Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I have Intellivision, which was an Atari competitor. That's pretty cool. Yeah. PlayStation, PlayStation 2, 3, 4. I don't have an N64. Never got into that. Then a Wii U. I don't have a Switch. I wasn't going to get a Switch.
I don't even know. I haven't read that much about that one.
Yeah, that doesn't have that many games yet, so I haven't.
What's the deal with it? Is just the new system?
Yeah, it's just the new Nintendo system, and it's a portable system, and also a console system. So it actually comes like the console comes with a screen that you can lift up out of it, and then you can play games on the go. Then you put the screen back in the dock, and you play with the regular controller on your TV.
I
So,
see.
yeah,
I guess
it's
that's why they call it the Switch.
yeah. I mean, it's Nintendo's just been all their consoles have been gimmicks, right? Like for the last several generations, like the Wii had the motion controls, the Wii U had the motion controls plus the stupid touchscreen, and then now they have a portable touchscreen. Whereas Xbox and PS4 have basically kept the same traditional kind of thing. I mean, like they have the Kinect and for Xbox and the motion controls and stuff for PlayStation, but the mainstay is still just the classic controller. They've kind of stuck with that, whereas Nintendo has gone off and done their own thing with. I mean, the Wii was pretty successful. The Wii U was a disaster, and I think we're still waiting to see for the Switch.
Yeah.
Yep.
And was it like 10 years ago at the G3 conference they were unleashing the Nintendo Revolution, and then they never finished it or something?
That became either the Switch or the GameCube. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember which one. They renamed it. Yeah, okay. It became the GameCube with the Switch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You still watch G3 on TV?
No.
You don't even have cable or dish. You just have... What do you have? You have the Roku and Hulu and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I have a Roku with Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO, and the rest of the channels I think are all free.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I don't watch TV. Most of my generation doesn't. Most of us got cable.
Spend much time on the YouTube?
No, I mean, sort of. What I usually do at work is I'll get like a mix or something on YouTube, like 3 hours of video game music or 3 hours of, last week it was synthwave, and I'll just like play that in the background while working.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Netflix?
Yeah, we're watching The Magicians right now. Definitely a good show. Who? Shit, I have no idea. I don't know.
We still do the mail-in DVDs for Netflix.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So we're still old school.
Nice.
Still have a PlayStation 3. Don't even have internet at the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's Dish Network. Have a smart TV.
Yeah, but no internet.
No internet. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
It was just a really, really inexpensive, lucky find.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like...
I still don't have a smart TV.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have 2 Rokus. I have Raspberry Pi. It's a computer. It's the size of a credit card. And you can install a media center on it. It's called it used to be called XBMC. Now it's called Kodi. And yeah, you can set it up to like run all of, like if you have your DVDs and stuff ripped to your hard drive, you can run all that kind of stuff.
Is that the thing you have on the Nintendo games on?
Yeah.
The emulator?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then you built your own arcade machine.
I did build my own arcade machine, yeah.
Tell them how that looks, how you built it.
Sure.
It's made out of wood.
Yeah, it's made out of MDF, medium density fiberboard. We just painted it black. Eventually I'll put like decals and shit all over it so it looks good. But it's a 4-person arcade machine. Predominantly I have, fighting games. We usually mostly for fighting games like Street Fighter 4. And I have it set up for like Steam games and stuff like that. And it's pretty sleek. We do there's not an open source, but it's like a free to play gaming engine called Mugen, and we play it a lot. You can import characters from like the different games and stuff. And we play that a lot. We play Street Fighter a lot. I hook up my PlayStation 2 to it, and we play Capcom vs SNK 2, which is my favorite fighting game.
Cool.
But yeah.
So you run the internet through that also to upload new characters?
I usually disable the internet on that machine just because it doesn't need to have it, so it's just one less connected device.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad at all. And your favorite sushi restaurant is?
Ugh, yeah, that's a good question. I ate at the Morimoto restaurant in Disney in Florida. That was the best sushi I've ever had, for sure. As far as favorite, I'd have to say Sushi Terry in Lompoc, California is still my favorite.
Nice.
It was the first place I had sushi, and it's still, every time that I go back to California, I still go back and eat there.
And when you lived in Baltimore, you ate crab and seafood all the time because it's so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And you never ate chicken because it's expensive out there. So when you came back here for one Christmas a few years ago,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, man, let's get some crab legs. And then you saw they're like 20 bucks a pound. You're like,
I went to
Let's
I went to the grocery store and I was like, "Do you have any seafood?" Well, so here's what it was. We went to Baltimore, and there's the grocery stores don't have a butcher counter. They have a seafood counter.
Right. Okay.
So if you wanted a cut of meat of beef, you had to go. You had to just find what they had prepackaged, or go to a specialty butcher. And then moving back here, they have butcher counters, but not seafood counters.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. Some of the higher end, more expensive grocery stores will have both. But yeah, what place was it? I tried to ask for Maryland blue crab, and they didn't have. The guy was like, "Are those the little ones?" I was like, "Yeah, the soft shell ones." Yeah,
that was the Hen House in Overland Park, Kansas.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they were expensive as shit, though. I don't think we got them.
No, I don't even think he had them.
Yeah.
But that's where the king crab legs were like $25 a pound, and you're like, nah.
Yeah.
Pass on that. But then you saw how cheap chicken is out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and now that I've gotten more into like barbecue and grilling and stuff like that, I mostly do chicken because it's so cheap.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And your favorite to do is ribs, you'd say, or?
That's a good question. I think my favorite to do is probably brisket, even though I don't do it that often. I mean, it's, I don't have any kids, and so it's just Jessica and I, and so a 15-pound brisket is, food for a month. But I mean, I don't know. It's fun. I have the stick burner. I have a Yoder offset, and we go through a ton of wood, cooking for 15 hours. But the product, the end result is just spectacular. But the nice thing about chicken is it cooks in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So you can, I have a rotisserie attachment. I can rotisserie it, or I can cut it up and smoke it, or butterfly it, or whatever the hell I want to do with it. It's a lot of different stuff.
And your smoker's pretty big. It's a Texas offset barrel smoker, which is my favorite way to work it. Also, I'll get another one of those. I had one about 10 years ago. I bought it, and it's falling apart, but still usable. It's here at Mom and Dad's house.
Yeah, that's what we cook on when we're up here.
Yeah, I didn't want to take it to Omaha when I moved 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So yours is really high end, thick plate steel.
Yeah, it's 1/4-inch steel. Yeah, it's actually made in Yoder, Kansas, which is about an hour away from Wichita. It's either a Mennonite or an Amish community. I can't remember which. But yeah, they make them there, and so because I looked at some of the different, because I wanted to get one that would last, and so I looked at the different brands, and if I went with something made like down south, the freight cost would have been hundreds of dollars, versus if I got a Yoder, and not only that, it's supporting a local business anyways.
Yes.
But the freight cost was like $20.
That's awesome.
Because the store was just they sell them at the local barbecue store.
Okay.
So it was easy enough to get.
That's awesome. And then when I went down there to visit, would you have a giant log chain, and it was chained to your deck?
Yeah, I had gotten robbed the month before, so I was like more than paranoid about my $1,000 grill walking off.
I can definitely believe that.
So yeah, I had a chain and a padlock, and it was attached to my deck. Yeah.
So what else? What else do you want to talk about?
Man, I don't know. It's 1 o'clock. We probably ought to call it there.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do this again. I don't
sure.
know when, but definitely this spring we'll probably see each other. Summer we'll probably see each other.
We'll do our typical cook something out on the grill and drink too much beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. We'll see you next episode.